BLAPCHAT. Take that.
Take that. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of BLAPCHAT.
Yes,
episode 90.
90.
90.
That's
we did
right.
90 of
90
these?
freaking episodes.
We did
too.
90 of these.
Wow. How long has it been? 2 years?
It's been like 2 years.
2 years to do 90.
Yeah,
We're kicking ass and
90
taking names,
years, you know what I'm
baby.
saying? We're taking names.
That's right.
Yeah, welcome to BLAPCHAT, episode 90. I go by the name of Illmind,
Yes, sir.
not Jeff Staple.
It's not. It's his
Okay.
cousin's third
It's my
cousin's
cousin.
friend.
All right.
Okay, don't get it twisted.
I'm the other bald Asian in this industry. It's only a few of us.
Wait, is there a third?
I'm not bald, though.
Oh,
I'm
wait,
not bald,
no.
dude.
You know who else? The Filipino comedian. He's hysterical.
Oh, Joe Coy.
Oh, he's
Shout
hilarious.
to my boy. Shout to my
He is
potty.
hilarious.
Joe Coy, man, killing
He's
it.
awesome.
But we here, BLAPCHAT episode 90. My
sir.
man Atlas the Plug is here.
Yes,
You know
sir.
I'm
What
saying?
up? What up?
You know what I mean? Glam and Perfection couldn't make it. Perfection's actually sick.
Yeah, she does.
She caught a bug. There's something going around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sick a couple weeks ago.
You know what it's
Shit
called?
sucked.
It's
What's
called
it
AIDS.
Oh, wow.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Perfection's going to kill you.
She's gonna be mad at me. I
is
love you,
gonna-
Perfection. You know I love you. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, of course. But we miss you guys. But we're here, man. Shout to all of our followers, our subscribers, man. Shout to the YouTube listener, the YouTube watchers, the iTunes, SoundCloud listeners, man. If this is your first time listening in, just make sure you hit that subscribe button. And shout to the OG listeners, man, who've been here since episode 1.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride so far. I can't wait to break 100. We got to do something special.
Oh man, maybe another live show for 100.
We should.
I'm really. Speaking of live show, that was incredible.
Yeah. We spoke a little bit about it last week. But yeah, shout once again to the big homie Just Blaze.
Yeah.
Just Blaze for coming through the live show. We're gonna do another live show, so you guys definitely keep an eye out for the next BLAPCHAT live show. Probably next year. Maybe we'll take it outside of New York. Maybe we'll do LA.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe we'll do Toronto.
Maybe overseas. Who knows?
Maybe we'll do the Philippines. You know.
Yeah,
You never
Philippines.
know.
Why not?
Yeah. But shout to you guys, man. As you know, this podcast is driven off of just everything that has to do with music production, engineering, just the game, the industry. And I think after, doing 90 episodes, we've talked about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of going back to a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, but kind of getting in more detail.
Sure.
So there's a lot I want to talk about today for sure. This is sort of like a year-end wrap-up too, I think. 2019 was an amazing, incredible year is kind of an understatement. I do believe that 2019 was like potentially like another kind of golden era feeling year,
Musically.
or even just a few years musically. Yeah. Especially if you're like, what I'm saying, like if you're 13 to 21, a few albums that may have come out this year and the past few years may be considered classics to you. And I just think that's special. So I really want to show love to, all the producers that are new and relatively older and more veteran, but I see kind of the whole spectrum, like a lot of people killing it. And it's just really fun to see, man.
It's great.
I want to definitely get into some of the year-end wrap-up stuff a little bit later. And maybe I think we have one more episode before the end of the year, so maybe we'll like really dive in to that shit. But before we jump into stuff, I definitely want to shout out all the producers and artists and songwriters and singers who've been coming to my Pass the Aux events. Man, I gotta give myself
Pass the aux.
we need. You guys hate that fucking air horn. I need a different air horn
In the
man.
comments.
I have a bunch of sound effects here that I never use, like this one. But,
And I like the air horn better.
Hadouken.
Some Street Fighter. Okay.
Yeah, but shout out to you guys who've been coming, man. For the past, it's been almost like 2 years as well. Every month I've been traveling to a different city. And basically what I do is I go to a city, I'll rent out a secret studio location and I'll invite about 30 upcoming music producers, rappers, artists, singers. They come through, and we basically just hang out in the studio for like 4 hours, and they literally come up and they plug the aux in and play their music, and then I get to, you know, kind of give them constructive criticism. We talk about their aspirations, and I'm answering questions, and we're getting really deep into conversation, really similar to kind of what we do on this podcast, but it's more of like a live in-person kind of intimate experience. So it's been really inspiring, man. So shout to you guys, shout to all the amazing up-and-comers that I've met in the past few years in all these different cities. Tonight is actually the last show of the year I'm doing in New York City. And then next year, I'm kicking off January with New Jersey, Connecticut, and Boston. Specifically Jersey City, New Haven, and Boston. And we're going to do that in January. So I just announced my 2019 Pass the Aux tour. So go to my website, illmindproducer.com. If you're an up-and-comer and you want to come meet me and hang out and meet some of your peers, which again is like super important. It's like an ongoing thing.
And overseas, right? Aren't you going overseas?
We're going overseas. I'm going to London. We're doing Germany, Toronto again, a bunch of stuff. But go to my website, illmindproducer.com. There's tour dates up there if you want to cop a ticket. I highly, highly recommend you come through. It's an amazing, inspiring time. Atlas, you have a few things coming too, right?
Yeah. First thing I want to say though, Ill, about the Pass the Aux, you know, it's seeing it grow is so great. And, you know,
it started at the studio.
And it started, I mean, we started, I'm going to, you know, that's what I'm going to get to is like, it really shows that, you know, when we started, you know, with the Pass the Aux thing, because I am noticing, and no disrespect to all the different people who do their things out there.
I know what you're about to say.
But if I see another aux something or pass plug something or in studio this, I'm like, can you guys have original ideas, please? Please.
Oh, God.
Please. But you know what? Anyway, on a more positive note.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not hating, but like, you know, I get it. You know, it just grew, and you know what? There's enough to go around, so I'm not going to be Scrooge right now.
Listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I appreciate that, Alice. I really do. But shout to all of the people out there that feel inspired and empowered enough to do something special like that. I mean, I'm not going to like sit here and take credit and kind of like champion this idea like I am the original like first person to do XYZ. Like I don't like do stuff, that kind of stuff doesn't drive me. I know it does for other people, but it doesn't for me to be the first one. But I will say that
you were the first one though. I'm gonna say it. You were the first one, without a doubt.
I mean, you know, facts. You know
okay, factory.
Numbers don't lie.
As the kids
you know what I'm
say,
saying?
factory.
Numbers don't lie.
All right.
But like, you know, I've been throughout the course of a big portion of my career, I've been kind of always that like guy who just like does shit, and then people look at it and say, "You're kind of weird for that." And some people say like, "You're kind of corny for that." Yeah. Like when I put my drum kit out. You're kind of whack for that. Right. You're Illmind. You're a producer. Like Jay Dilla would never do that. Like, why are you doing that? And now look, you know.
I mean, there wouldn't be Splice.
Right. Oh my God.
I mean, you know, we can go there if you want.
Well, you know.
But all right, Ill.
I'm just saying that I'm humbled by it. Right. But just know that like, if your intentions are good and you're really driven to like. Really give back and help out and stuff like that, like I'm all for that, seriously. You know, and it actually makes me feel good that like there's certain things that I may or may not be doing that are helping people, and that's really all that matters to me, honestly. So thank you for bringing that up, Atlas.
You know, I try. I try. But anyway, Ill, you're right. I do have some things coming up in January. Very exciting. It's a third installment of the True Master Show, January 24th here in New York City.
So tell them what is True Masters.
So what True Masters is, you can follow it on all social media, True Master Show. And what is it's a showcase I produced. Like I've done a lot of rap battles. I've done hip hop showcases. I mean, you name it. I've producer events. And one thing about the rap battles, and no disrespect against anyone who does this, is there's normally about 16 producers. After the first producer's third beat, like I'm bored. You know what I'm saying? And I got to sit there for like 15 other people playing it. So that to me kind of got boring. So what I did is I have 8 producers, 8 MCs, and 8 dancers. They can be any type of artist. They could be rappers, singers. They could be any type of dancer. They don't have to be a b-boy. They could be a ballet dancer if they want to be.
Have you had any ballet dancers?
We have not. I've had like mostly like pop lock flexors,
right?
And like I don't want to say strippers. But like they were like doing some sexy dance moves, and like they got pretty
females. Okay.
Yes, please, yeah. Females. Yes.
We don't want to go there.
No disrespect, but anyway.
No.
So yeah,
if you're a male stripper and you want to
totally
enter
fine.
True Masters, Atlas will not deny you.
I'm sure.
You can low key win.
We're gonna have to go through the board, but you know I'm open for whatever, right? So anyway, but 8 producers, 8 MCs, 8 dancers. The producer comes out, has a track that's 3 minutes long. The producer hits play for the first minute. The crowd's vibing to the beat, enjoying the record. When it hits minute number 1, the dancer comes out, dances over the track, and when it hits minute number 2 for the final minute, the rapper or artist will come out and sing or rap over the track. And then when they're done, I have another group of 3 come on, do the same formula. And then I have the crowd. This is the best part. The crowd picks the winners, 1 producer, 1 MC, and 1 dancer to advance to the next round. And that's why it's called the True Masters, because if you are a true master in your craft, and you rap or sing, whatever, it doesn't matter what beat they play, you're going to kill it, because that's just what you do, you know? But rest assured, all the producers that I pick, I only pick dope producers, so you won't have to worry about a super trashy.
And it's random when you pair them up together.
Totally random. Nobody knows until sound check. I did it like that on purpose. A lot of people ask me, what beat am I going to rhyme over? I'm like, you find out literally when you walk on the stage. So what I do is I bring them backstage before the show actually starts, and I give them numbers like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Like kept going up to 10, and then I'll just say, okay, group 1, come up.
Amazing.
Group 4, come up, and then they just battle.
Cool. So there's video footage of this on YouTube.
There is on YouTube. True Masters Show. You can also get it on Instagram and Twitter. True Masters Show.
So when's the next show?
January 24th.
Okay.
Is the next one, and the one that one's already full, but March 7th. There are slots available.
Okay.
So you can just go to True Master Show and click the link in the bio, or just follow me, Atlas the Plug, and shoot me a DM, and I'll answer you back.
Slide into Atlas's DMs right now. If you're a male stripper, and you really about that life, DM Atlas. You know what I'm saying? Send him a dick pic.
Whoa.
Know what I'm saying?
Damn, ill.
Know what I'm saying? We going there today.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Atlas. Take this.
Dick pics for Atlas the Plug, baby.
Wow. You're crazy.
Anyway, yeah, True Masters is really a great show. If you don't manage to get a slot in, like, I would highly recommend you show up and just feel the vibe. Watch the show. It's super highly entertaining, and get your network on too.
Yeah, I was just about to say, because most of the artists that go to this, or the producers, they either go with like their manager,
right,
or if they're a producer, they go with the rapper they work with or the artist that they work with, or vice versa. Maybe the rapper who's there brings their producer. So all the crowd is all industry, up and comers, some more established than others. So if you want to really just go network and enjoy an amazing show, I mean, the show has been compared to Nick Cannon's Wild 'N Out meets Eminem's 8 Mile, you know, and if anyone who's performed or has been there, they would tell you the same. So
wow, amazing. All right, well, check out True Masters. Speaking of True Masters, we have a True Master here in the building.
That's a fact.
I'm really excited about today's episode. We haven't had too many engineers on the show. It's mostly producers. We have a couple non-producers here and there. Mm-hmm. The last engineer we had was actually Parks from the Joe Budden podcast.
And then before that was Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy Douglas. The legendary. And that was like a super. We got really in depth with that. I mean, we just let him like talk the whole time.
I'll make a talk,
dude. His gems are so insane. So, and by the way, go back to that episode. For all you engineers listening, go listen to the Jimmy Douglas episode and the Parks episode. But today we have another very, very highly talented, super special engineer, our special guest. He is, I don't even want to discredit like your discography, but I'm just going to introduce my man. He's the engineer for the God, Meek Mill. Man, it just makes me so happy to like see Meek Mill's comeback.
Yeah.
It's like one of the greatest like going down in history for sure in the history books. Yeah. So I definitely want to dig into this. So let's give a warm round of applause to Cruz. Yeah. Wait. There we go. Add that in.
Yes,
Cruz, what's up, man?
What's up? How y'all doing?
I'm good, man. We're good. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know, definitely an exciting time right now. I'm sure for like you and for the whole squad, all the hard work you guys put in, man. Like,
a lot of work,
I know, you know, I'm not an engineer, but I do obviously know the type of logistical kind of hard work, the man hours and staying up all night just to like compress vocals. Like, people don't understand how much work is put into engineering. Even tracking too is an art. So I want to start with kind of people who may not know what you've done kind of in addition to the Meek Mill stuff. Obviously you're, you know, the kind of approaching infamous Cruz, you know. Turn me up, Cruz. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you heard Meek's album, you definitely know that.
It's the first thing you hear.
Yeah. So, you know, outside of the Meek Mill stuff, like what other, you have a pretty rich history. So what other stuff have you worked on and kind of where did you start off doing this?
Man, it goes back a while, but like when I first got into the industry, my very first session actually was with Neo. Like I started out at Rock the Mic Studios in New York, in Manhattan, like January 5th. I looked up the email today on purpose, like, I guess because like I had been doing a couple interviews, but this one was like special to me because I've been following you guys and we had a little conversation.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Since 2006. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was still in college at Georgia State, but long story short, you know, I started at Rock the Mic January 5th, 2011, exact date.
Wow.
Like, you know, Neo was the very first professional session I had.
Wow.
I've assisted some legends from, you know, J. Cole, Mary J. Blige, Stargate, the, you know, power
love them
pop duo. They've done some legendary records. During the time, they controlled like 50% of the top 10, basically. You know, Bridget Kelly, all the Rock Nation, you know, roster, you know, Ricky Martin. I assisted, you know, Coldplay session with Chris Martin. He smacked me in pool. You know what I mean? Like, I've got some stories. So like, I had like some real reflection time recently, and like, you know, I mean, you know, sometimes you kind of get caught up and you have blinders on, obviously. And I know you guys go through this because you guys have had some really major milestones and legendary runs. But like, you really have time to kind of sit down and reflect and like, man, you know,
like I've
done
a
few things.
I've done a few things.
Yeah, but I'm still humble. But like, you know, I think sometimes you discredit yourself and like it kind of affects you in a way where like, you know, it's okay to give yourself a certain amount of credit.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know, it's so interesting you bring that up because I remember reading this somewhere recently, and it said, you know, if you reach if and when you reach this sort of point in your life when you reflect back, like you said, and you see like, okay, wow, I did A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, and they're all really credible, awesome things. Even if you are humble by nature, you should celebrate your wins, and you're allowed to celebrate those wins. And celebrating those wins doesn't necessarily mean that like you're arrogant or being a dick. And you're right. I think that does kind of affect people. You know, I know it affects me. You know what I mean? For sure.
It's good. I think it's good to remind yourself. You know, what happens is we get so caught up in working. Yeah. You know, you kind of lose track of accomplishments. You know, I would like what I used to do is have like a list, and on the right side I would put like all the things I want to do, right? And then on the left side I would put the things that I accomplished, right? And then I would look at that list, and then you just start moving one thing to the other, and before you know it, like that left side starts getting kind of big, right? And you're just like, wow, like, you know. And if I'll be honest, if I don't write it down or I don't visually see it, I'm gonna forget about it.
Right.
So what happens is you just forget. You know, you're so busy you forget, and someone says, Ill, remember that time that, and you'd be like, oh shit, dude, I forgot about that.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
I just talked to somebody, a good friend of mine that went to Full Sail with me. Like, we were having a conversation or whatever, and he was like, write down what it is you need to do next.
Yep.
So you visualize it and really, you know, and I've done that before, but like mostly I just kind of speak things into existence. But I think it's something powerful, like you said, about, you know, especially when, you know, your memory's shot like mine. Like, I forget things all the time, but like, write it down.
Write it down.
you know, what's next for Cruz? What do I want to accomplish in 2019 moving forward?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and also to add on to that,
Yeah.
thinking about what that next logistical step is to move toward that goal. It's like we can set a goal. Let's say, for instance, I set a goal like I want to what's a good example? I want to I want to go on tour in 2019, right? The first logistical step would be, I guess uniquely in my situation, it would be I need to like tell my manager first, and so he can help me. You know, like little things like that. And then if you don't take that first like initial step, then like a week will go by or a month will go by, and then you'll forget to do it, and then all of a sudden a month goes by and it's like, oh shit, I'm like I haven't gone anywhere yet. I think that's like a big thing for people. So so you have this rich history, and you know, we'll fast forward to all this Meek stuff. So like, were you working with Meek like before he went away, and how did you guys link up?
We've had like kind of a roller coaster on a working relationship side. You know, we started 2013 DC3 era. I was at Rock the Mic. I was working between Rock the Mic and 4040 Club at the same time, same ownership. You know, shout out to Desiree and OG Juan, you know, giving me an incredible opportunity. So I was working in between both at the time, and I was at the 10-year anniversary party for 4040. And Meek's at Rock the Mic with no engineer. So, you know, studio manager TT calls me. He's like, yo, Meek's here. He needs an engineer. I'm like, bro, this is the 10-year anniversary party. You know, I'm running AV in the club. It was a pretty important night. Like, you know, some big heavy hitters in the building, you know, hoes running around, all these different people. I'm like, bro, you got to, like, hit the boss, tell her to hit me and tell me it's cool because I didn't want to, like, mess up anything or whatever, as much as I wanted to do the session. So long story short, I get the call, you know, she hits me on the radio, like, run to the club, you know, Meek needs an engineer, go ahead, we'll handle the AV stuff, whatever, we'll figure it out. So I'm still suited up, you know, it's a 10-year formal, you know what I mean? So like, I got my suit on.
That's crazy.
Meek and all his homies are there, like,
looking
at me
this guy.
like, do you even know how to engineer? Like, they just grab somebody, like, yo, just go, like, you know, so I had to like kind of break down my history to him about all the Rock Nation stuff I had done, and you know, he kind of ran through, you know, his settings and what he was comfortable with in terms of recording. And it took a few days. I mean, obviously, you know, he had worked with a bunch of engineers, so I'm sure he was kind of burned out with that whole process of relearning somebody.
You had to get to know each other. Basically.
Exactly, yeah. So it didn't take too long. I would say like within like the first 2 weeks, we got like a good vibe going. He was doing, you know, knocking out some amazing records. He did like the Lil Snoop tribute. Snoop unfortunately passed like right in the beginning of our working relationship. So, you know, that was like an extremely memorable session. You know, he did like the Versace remix. That was like the first thing. He just kind of threw it out. I was like, damn, I didn't even mix it or do anything to it. He just liked how it was and put it out or whatever. So, you know, fast forward to now, you know what I mean? Like, and all the projects in between, like we've done some amazing shit.
I mean, to be the engineer behind the boards, you know, that's different. And I think people get confused. It's different from, you know, receiving a bunch of files and then mixing them. Are you mixing this stuff as well, or are you more tracking?
Mostly what I'm doing at this point is it's like tracking, and you're kind of setting the picture up for the mix engineer. Like, because I get it to a point where he's basically like, we could master this,
right?
But not understanding, you know, like breaking the beat down and like mixing a track out and getting it, you know, to a certain extent, like listenable to the audience and fully like making it a real movie. You know what I mean? So, I'm to the point now where like he's comfortable with my sounds to where it's really challenging for the mix engineer.
Right.
And it's like, you know, we've dealt with like the legends. I mean, like, you know, and these are like people I really respect and look up to. And
but like Meek is just like, I want Cruz's mix.
He wants my sound and texture. So if the mix goes too far from that, right away from when he pushes play first 10 seconds, it's like, no, I don't like the mix.
Right.
So, you know, with this project in particular, having Guru, like people hear Guru's name and it's like you mentioned God in the engineering world.
Shout
like,
to Guru.
Seriously, Guru is like, you know,
he's a real goat. He's literally a goat.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I've heard him. I've heard him do a few times when I met him.
Right. So like you get an opportunity, you know, and that's my brother. Like he's known me from, you know, I was like up and coming. I would go grab his coffee and ask him dumb questions, and you know what I mean. So this full circle moment, you know, and that's what's so special about this year and this whole process and this project. You know, the fact that it's even called championships, like really rings, you know, true for me and everybody involved. But like, you know, so in working with Guru, he's such a legend, but he's so humble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was so easy to get across certain notes and certain things that, you know, to somebody that has all these different things on their plate would have just been like, bro, like I don't have time to deal with all these little minor notes and, you know what I mean? So it was an amazing process to like be able to, by the way, we booked Jungle City and basically had both floors, like the penthouse.
The whole time.
Oh, wow.
The bottom floor. I would be like, yo, hold up. Meek's playing a bunch of records for his homies. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna check in on Guru. Word, that sounds dope. You know what I mean? Turn that up, turn this down.
Right.
Put this over here. I think he's gonna add new lyrics, bring the files downstairs. So it was like this crazy flow, and it was so, you know, so much less stressful than it's been in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like it was like really factory, like everyone that was there mattered.
Right.
It wasn't like any dead weight or extra distraction.
Yeah, everybody worked together and like to a degree of like, you know, Guru pushed his Africa flight back like 4 times. You know, Hov and B had the Global Citizens, and he pushed his flight back literally like 4 times. You know what I mean? Just to make sure everything was perfect and handed in on time and up to par, you know, handled all these last minute changes. Hov was like, yo, by the way, let me, you know, make some updates. He would have to go get that done. Ross sends his updates. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was
a lot of like punching in.
A lot of fine tuning and just perfecting this thing to make it what it was when it came out.
Yeah.
So, you know, people don't. That's what I love about these opportunity to have these type of moments and letting people know, like, we really put a lot of time and effort to perfecting these records. And unfortunately, it came out kind of at the end where it's not on a lot of people's list. But, you know, I'm just going to be selfish and say, like, I think, you know, it should be talked about a little more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You know, I think people are going to continue to talk about this going into 2019 for sure. And I do believe that it came out after the Grammy deadline.
Right. It did,
so I think it really could stand a time. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, and we're not even in 2019, but I wouldn't be surprised if it definitely was considered for some kind of nomination or end up being on lists for sure, because it's an incredible album. And I love that we're talking about this because, you know, obviously a lot of our listeners are producers, a lot of engineers, a lot of producer engineers, and it's all about the real like nitty gritty creative process of it. And it's so your story is so fascinating to me because, you know, rewind back to, you know, the early days when you were like with Neo and kind of slowly, you know, building your discography. Never in a million years would you have imagined to like be Meek Mill's engineer, right? And to have this particular moment with like the Hov stuff and Guru, it's like even if like going back to 2013 and if someone came back from a time machine and said, hey Cruz, guess what, Meek is gonna go away for a while, and all these things are gonna happen to him, but then he's gonna come back with like this crazy comeback album, and he's gonna get all the respect and people are gonna love him even more, and you're gonna be the guy behind the boards behind that. What do you think about that? Oh, and there's a whole verse in there too.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're gonna be working with Young Guru. It's like shit like that. You like look at it like that, and it's like, wow. I think it's interesting. Humbling. So it's like, to me, it kind of seems like reaching this point in your career, a lot of factors that went into that, in my opinion, was kind of you being prepared for kind of every opportunity that came your way, right? Like even the phone call you got that Meek needed an engineer, you easily could have been like, you know what, I'm working right now, I'm overwhelmed. Sorry, Meek.
Let somebody else.
Let someone else do it.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos on that, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
That's really, really dope. So I want to dig a little bit more into like the engineering side of things. I think there's a lot of engineers that they call themselves engineers, and they're like, yeah, I know how to mix vocals, and I do the plugins, and a lot of these guys, and a lot of these guys are good at that, but there's really an art form and a sort of like etiquette that comes with being a tracking engineer. I think when you're in there coaching someone, talk a little bit about that. We'll start with Meek. I mean, like, what's that process like when he's in there writing and you playing that role as engineer? What are some things you do with Meek that kind of help along with that process?
Yeah. I mean, just really setting the vibe, because I was thinking about it today. For whatever reason, I like spent extra time trying to think of how to describe my job. I was watching like little clips of Star Trek, and like when they're in the like, like Data's there doing his thing, and you got Captain Picard like giving him, and I'm like, who am I in this vibe right here? But it gets a little deeper than that, because like the tracking engineer, really, I'm not the captain of that room necessarily, but I have a very critical role of controlling the vibe in the room and making sure Meek is going to be comfortable, because there have been times, I mean, we're all human, where maybe I missed a couple of things I needed to check off before he got in the room, because we're the first ones there and we're the last ones to leave. Maybe I got in and I was a little comfortable. I didn't do a mic check.
Right.
I didn't check and make sure like all the levels were good, and we had Pro Tools running out here, and the aux was working, and he gets in the booth and he's like, yo, I'm ready, right? And the mic's not working properly, and there's a noise, and it takes 30 minutes to an hour to fix the problem, and you might have totally ruined
the vibe,
a classic vibe.
Yeah.
So what we do, and it's critical, like to the average person, maybe they don't fully understand, but we literally control that vibe in the room, and making sure that the record sounds good, like that let's say if an experienced producer sends something that's totally maxed out, distorted, that we have the ability to clean it up to where he loves it, so we got to work with it, right? So we got to like clean it up and make it sound where his vocal cuts through a certain way and he's able to get his idea across until we can fully track it out and get it to a certain level.
Right.
So, it's critical, man, and like, just setting that tone of like, I know what he needs in terms of, I know the mic chain, we got to have all that stuff right. I know like the plugins, I know like certain little kinks that will throw him off in terms of like latency and delay and making sure all that stuff is smooth. So, we really kind of are, somewhat of a captain role, but then I don't want to discredit, the A&R and you know what I mean? Like maybe like somebody in there that like, even for Meek himself, like, I don't want to say that like I'm the god in the room at the time, you know what I'm saying? But like we do play a very critical
it's like a team effort. I like
absolutely.
I like the Star Trek analogy, because that's just so true.
Right.
When you're in a room, everyone's there for a particular reason,
right?
And if everyone is just kind of doing what they should do, kind of go above and beyond, that's great.
Right.
I think that's a mistake for a lot of upcoming engineers. If you're an aspiring engineer, you're gonna eventually have that first like big session. And it's gonna you're gonna want to shoot yourself in the head,
bro,
before the end of the night, because it's like, did you feel that way in the beginning, like when first tracking superstars, they kind of look at you in a certain way, like they treat you a certain way until you get to a point. So what are some helpful things that you kind of have done in the past to kind of help you push through that stuff?
I will give just kind of some comforting stories, just to know that you can get through these things. Like you're not just gonna like die off and you know what I mean? Like you're fired forever. But that first session with Neo was rough, man. I was slow. Like his harmonies he was cutting, like he was very like heavy on the harmonies, and
he's like a million harmonies.
So like I wasn't like
playlists
balancing
and shit.
Some of them, and so he's like, yo, all right, I want those. The second one I did to be up a little more, and I'm like there sweating bullets trying to. I end up buying him lunch. Like, yo, I'm sorry, bro. I know it's like a little rough today. Here's some Chipotle. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, and he still shows love to this day. But you learn from these things, and if you don't sit back and study what you did wrong and try to perfect, get as good as you can to like, you know, and get over that, you know, by like sitting there and driving yourself crazy. And what did I do wrong today? How do I fix it? What are the shortcuts I need to know that I didn't know today? What plugins could help me kind of, you know, that I may not have had access to, you know, and didn't have time to think about. Let me watch a few YouTube videos. YouTube is like, it's like a university now.
Are you heavy on like tutorials and like looking up stuff? Yeah.
Big time. Pensado's place.
Oh, shout to Pensado's place.
Bro, I watch his stuff like religiously. I watch, you know, I go to people that are my go-to guys, and you know, even people I don't even know who the hell they are. They just know things that I didn't necessarily think of in that way. You know, there's a lot of tools out there nowadays. You know, even when I was at Full Sail, it wasn't that widespread. You know what I mean? Like, especially for engineers, you know, like, but even for producers, there wasn't like this, you know, BLAP-KITS wasn't like a big thing. It wasn't. It was like you had to figure it out, and now it's like, you have so many tools, you have no excuse.
There's no excuse.
True.
There's no excuse.
Between Google and YouTube.
Yeah, and all the different type of software is just getting better and better every year. It's phenomenal.
Right.
What's your speaking of software? What's your favorite go-to compressor, and why?
Favorite go-to on the compressor?
For vocals.
So like for compressors for vocals, we're analog. We're Tube Tech, COMB all day long.
So okay, we'll software. Favorite software compressor
is any of the Wave stuff. The Slate stuff is really cool.
Yeah, Slate's
I really like Slate stuff. But you know, like a little R-Comp, RVox, you know, like the, you know, those are kind of like the go-tos.
I love that you use RVox. People think it's like, why do you use RVox?
RVox together. RVox gives you a certain texture. Like, take it off and use a different compressor. Like, it gives you a certain texture that you can't get without it. You know what I mean? Like, and I've tried. You know, when Meek came on, he was like, he had a kind of an aux that had ARC compressor and RVox already on it. And I was like, let me try to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, something ain't right.
Put that RVox back on. Put the RVox.
I mean, it's the, you know, so
RVox is like the go-to, like rough on the spot. Sure. Like, I want to make this shit sound crispy during
you
playback.
Bring out all the UAD and sprinkles,
but then you break all that shit out, and it's like, yo, I just made it worse. You know what I mean? A lot of times, sometimes
for sure,
you know?
no doubt.
What's your go-to software EQ?
EQ, I really like Fab Filter. Yo, the Pro Q stuff is dope. The MB. Where you could literally kind of like find a section of the vocal and you know compress it, like DS that particular section. I use that a lot. You know, Meek's vocal is like, he's like a rock star in the booth. Like, he's like DMX, you know, Busta meets Steven Tyler. You know what I'm saying? Like, this vocal gets pretty harsh, so you have to control some of that 1 to 2K. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that Fab Filter stuff is.
I wanted to ask you. I know there's different type of artists record in different methods, you know, like I know really talented artists where they don't really write. They'll go in the booth. Yeah. They'll come up, let the loop, the beat kind of loop. Yep. They'll come up with like a 2 bars, and then they'll stop it, and then they'll let that play, and then they'll punch in and do another 2. Yeah. I know artists that go in and write everything the night before and come in and do it all in one take. Where is Meek at in this? Is he like, does he write it before? Does he just go in and like, where's he at?
No pen, no pad.
Wow.
It's
you heard it here.
Wow.
It's incredible. Let me get the air horn one time.
I was just looking for something. I was trying to look for something sexy. I gave him the Hadouken, but you know what?
Let's get that air horn.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, he gets into a mode where it's almost like praying in tongues. Like, if you're like on a religious side, like he starts mumbling these things, and you don't know what it is, but you can tell he knows in his head he's just trying to get it out. Because, like, you'll hear certain words repeated. Like, let's say he does it multiple takes. Right. Certain words, he knows where they're going to come in until he has the full, like, 2 to 4 bars or whatever it is. He's going to keep repeating, kind of mumbling, and then gets it out, like Oodles and Noodles, Babies, Trauma. Like, these type of records, you hear him, and you're like, he wrote that down.
Right. Yeah. That's why I'd have to ask.
Yo, he literally, and I can't wait. I pray that our guy caught it on video or something, because he is in the booth. No pen, no pad flow.
Amazing. You want to know what's interesting about that? And, you know, obviously Hove does that too.
Yeah,
all that.
Hove does
like,
the same thing.
I believe that as a writer, doing it that way is the only way to really tap into like true artistry. And I'm not taking away from people who write physically write, but there's something to be said about like going in the moment and finding an idea. It's like when we work with songwriters. I don't know if you have experienced this too, but when you work with a songwriter, you know, they'll literally say, cue the beat, play it for 8 minutes. I'm just gonna freestyle. We're gonna playlist 10 of them, and then we'll comp our favorite melodies, and then we'll write to it. So many writers do that.
Ink.
Yeah, Ink. Oh, that's my girl.
Right?
Shout out to Ink. Shout out to Ink, man. Spill my ink. Go follow her. She's like my favorite songwriter right now. Yeah. She's written a lot of cool stuff for me. Shout out to Naja too, Amnesia.
Yeah,
she's killing it right now. Yeah. But you know, I think that's interesting. And for rappers to do that, I think it's just extra special to me, man. So that's great that Meek does that.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
that's
next
crazy.
level.
That's next level, man.
Yeah, for sure.
What are so, you know, when you're in there engineering, whether it's a singer or a rapper, whoever it is, are there like kind of like basic fundamental go-to tools that you need, or like maybe a Pro Tools template that you load up for the session and like that help you, and like what are those things?
Yeah, we have our go-to templates, and excuse me, just based on like the room that we're in and like what plugins they do have available or what version of Pro Tools they're on. I might do a save as, like we're at Jungle City today or we're at Astro today or whatever. But there's 1,000% a template that we use that's our go-to, that gets him comfortable, where I could just go in from there and make tweaks from. And then for guest artists, I kind of work with the same template, and just obviously they're not going to be at the same level with Meek in terms of texture and different, you know, things with their vocals. So I'll, you know, at least get a clean take from them, and then just kind of edit what I have already pre-set up. But I feel like, especially now, it's very, very critical and important. I wish I knew this early on. So people first starting off, you know, please take notes on this. Have a template.
Yeah.
Have a go-to. It's gonna speed up your process. It's gonna, you know, the artist, songwriter, whoever you're working with is gonna appreciate it. You know, it gives you a head start in the session and makes you look faster.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I remember like this was a taboo thing back in the day. Like, you know, shout out to some of the guys that I won't mention names, but like I'll be like, yo, can I like study your template?
Check out your template.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Yeah. Never. You know, I give our template out on our site. You know,
I love
like,
that.
That's so. That's dope.
So like, and shout out to Jalil. He actually was one of the first ones that put me on to BLAP-KITS. He's like, yo, you need to give these tools to people. You know, look at what Illmind's doing with BLAP-KITS, and I'm like looking at the site, and I'm like, this is incredibly dope. And I know you guys were talking about biting earlier, but like I literally took kind of the engineer side of it, and I offer like a Pro Tools template.
That's amazing,
man. I have samples and stuff.
That's great.
So, you know, just trying to add to the community and like help them with, you know, having the stuff that we literally use the exact template that I give them.
What site can people find this on?
It's on breakitdown.com, breakitdwn.com.
All right, breakitdown, DWN, breakitdown.com. You guys go there, get your templates.
Yeah.
Cruz is one of the best out here, man. Go get that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Sure.
I remember the first time I thought of it, or I was put on to like, oh yeah, make a template, was I had a session in 2010 with this artist. He's one of my good friends, Jared Evan, and he was, at the time he was signed to Interscope, so I had a session over in a record plant, and Jimmy Douglas was the engineer.
Oh wow.
And he literally, I looked at his screen.
Yeah.
He literally loaded up. He opened up a new session, and he loaded up, and like it was like everything was there already.
Yeah.
It was like I saw he had like 12 mono, and then 12 mono tracks, and then one mono record track, because that was before playlists. So he would slide each audio to every time he would record, and then he would bust them all out to an aux, and then those would bust out to like reverb auxes. But it was all like you know,
it's the key.
Template key. And yo, when I track vocals to this day, I don't know, Jimmy, if you're listening to this, but thank you for this. I still use that template to this day. Like I don't use playlists. I get confused, so I do it the old school Jimmy Douglas way. So shout
Jimmy
to him.
I remember I actually had a moment with in a Jimmy Douglas mix session. He didn't like our room, honestly, at Rock the Mic. I loved it, but like he you know, he's been in a lot of rooms.
Yeah.
So like he was mixing, I think it was a Cher record on a Timbaland beat that I don't know if it ever came out, but like he's mixing this record and like he, you know, he had it all kind of like mapped out, and he's like, "What do you think about this?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you think I'm gonna say?" Like,
right,
yeah,
right.
I think it sounds incredible. You
Yeah.
know, I think it's ready to go. So he actually, you know, mixed it there. It was like asking advice from somebody who's basically an intern, assistant, you know, and took the time out to listen to my mixes and was like, "Yo, your mixes sound, you know, really dope." I just think it's something about, for somebody with his level of experience and go through his credits.
Oh my God.
And for him to sit in with somebody like me who had nothing going on and was like literally wet behind the ears and just trying to figure things out, and, you know, giving me that type of positive reinforcement, it stuck with me to where I'm telling the story right now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, just know that like, for, you know, there's a lot of ego, and I have this whole thing of respect the engineer, where I'm just like, I just want our community to come more together. Like, I feel like producers are collabing and working together really well, and engineers are kind of like, you have, it's like a class system.
Right.
I feel like, you know, you got like the elite guys that they kind of do their own thing, and then they bash the up and coming guys, and they're like, "You'll never be on my level." Like, can we come together and try to figure this thing out and get, because it's gonna affect the music industry.
Oh,
if you think about it, like, let's get the
It'll
quality
evolve
up.
though, because that's
I think
where
it will.
that's
I
where
just think
production
right now
was.
I feel that. I feel that, and I've seen it. You know, but I just think, you know, it's frustrating because I do want it to come together a little more, and us to kind of embrace kind of, you know, we all have our little idiosyncrasies and ways that we work, and it all works in a way, like, you know what I mean? So let's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think like, you know, like you guys were saying, that transition is happening right now before our very eyes, you know, like with guys like Parks, like Jimmy.
I think so.
Yeah,
you know, you.
Shout out to Alex,
you know what
too,
I'm
man.
saying? Alex, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Exactly.
He's one that, you know, I shout out to him. I never met him personally, but I've watched his growth, and you know, he's super humble and just like, you know, he jokes around a lot, but he just put up something. He's like, "Yo, I just did like 20 projects this year," you know, and you know, I never like compare myself to anybody, but I'm like, man, it humbled
Inspiring,
me. You know, it's like I look at Ali, like, yo, I got nominated for like 3 or 4 Grammys, by the way, like, and I'm still super low key to a degree. You know what I mean? I'm not out here flexing, and I'm up here like, yo, turn me up, Cruz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's humbling, bro. Like, it makes me kind of, you know.
How many times do you hear that?
I hear.
Yo, turn me up, Cruz.
I hear it a lot.
Are you gonna make the? Are you gonna make the drip though?
I got
you got him. You're gonna hear what he did. Yeah.
I need that.
Go to the site.
2X, bro. 2X.
I'll buy it
ASAP.
I'll buy it too, for sure.
I need that
I got you. It's
ASAP.
on the way. But even stuff like that, it's like, I love it. It's humbling, but I'm kind of competitive on the other side, so it makes me like, man, you gotta go hard.
It's a
man.
reminder of like, you know, despite all the stuff I've done, it's like I ain't shit. I gotta go hard.
That's how,
Right. It's humbling.
But
That's how it should be looked.
Right. So, you know, and then, but what we were saying at the beginning is like, at the same time, don't get lost in what you have a credit or, you know, brought to the game, or you know, had
embrace those wins. I wish Jimmy Douglas would embrace those wins more. Like he needs to just like fucking post up your whole shit, bro.
Man.
Oh my God.
Like you did 444. Like that's not even
Never
nothing compared to
like, you know?
well, not nothing, but
Legendary.
like that's one of like 1,000 legendary things you've done.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And the whole time we interviewed him, like we didn't even talk about any of that. He was just we were shooting the
like
shit,
talking
man.
about his, he just wants to like, yo, come to my spot when you're in Miami. Like, I'm like, really? I don't really? Are you sure? Like,
Because I'll be there in like 2 days. Like,
You walk in, he's like mixing like a Cher and Madonna record featuring Jay-Z and Elton John.
Before I go
what do
play
you
this for
think of
Timbaland,
this?
what do you think about this record?
Yeah, for Timbo. Like, come on,
what I'm
man.
saying? Like,
Come on, man. What's something? What's a piece of advice you would give to an aspiring engineer? Let's say I'm an engineer. I just graduated SAE.
Yeah.
And my instinct tells me that I want to get an internship at like a Jungle City or a Blast Off or something. Do you think an internship at a studio is a good start? And what are some things that I can do as a young engineer early on to start generating some income to kind of get into that and support my career, if that's even an option?
I think you have to understand that, unlike producers and like you guys have kind of these different services like these beat stars and things, with engineers you have to be a lot more humble and ready for a period of time of working for free or next to nothing. And if you do it right, you'll get into a major studio where there's a good clientele, ones that will accept you, because, and that was my approach, was like trying to get into a major studio and just try to prove that I don't mind having to do all the free work and cleaning the bathrooms and doing all these food runs and being able to ask a question or two to a few people and not getting a paycheck initially. Just appreciate the opportunity, once you do get in the door, because a lot of people will turn you away. I will tell you that. I don't name names because these studios are still around, but I got dissed by a lot of studios that I end up coming back with some pretty dope artists and working with. You know what I mean? So like that stuff kind of comes, if you have the right mentality and work ethic, it'll all come back around. So don't get discouraged and, people tell you no and turn you away. It's cool. There's a lot of options. Even if you want to work with like your local up and coming studio and somebody is gracious enough to give you a couple $, to help you, kind of keep the bills, pay your bills and stuff like that and keep things going for you. But in my journey and floating around with Meek, I've seen a lot of assistants turn into people's lead guys.
That's great.
Yeah, like, and it's very like rewarding to see. Even like it just motivates me even more, and like it makes me like super hype. And I hope to do that for somebody in the near future. Yeah,
Oh, well, so you would say that becoming an assistant engineer, or getting to the point where you're potentially an assistant engineer to someone who's doing bigger projects, is like a great position.
I mean, like getting into a major studio that has like a decent clientele, where you're the coffee guy, is everything plugged up properly, and then in my downtime, let me work on my personal mixes and study some videos and getting good with the engineer that comes in with these clients and things like that. Like this kid that worked at and it's like the studio that Atlantic bought out in LA.
Okay.
Muse Studios, I think it's called. There's this kid Ja that is now he's now working with Anderson .Paak. Like he's Anderson's guy.
Wow. And he started as like an intern.
Intern. He would help me out. Like, yo, you need anything? I'll go. I'll get a run set up for you. Whatever. He's with Anderson .Paak.
And he's probably worked with Dre then.
I'm sure he's been in the room with him for sure. But I mean, and then to this day, like he appreciates every little accomplishment. Like, yo, we're about to be on Jimmy Fallon. We're about to be on this or that. Like, I love seeing that come up. You know what I mean?
That's the best.
But you have to start being that kid that, yo, there's no budget, for me, or, this is a come up thing for me. Yep. But I respect the opportunity, and something's going to come out of it.
I always say work as if you're working for free. Like, assuming that this is something that you want to put your all into. And I know it's kind of cliche to say, but you're gonna start getting paid eventually,
for sure.
And it's not gonna feel any different when you do, because you're doing what you've been doing for free in the past X amount of years or months, and then all of a sudden now you get to just keep doing it.
That's the best way to put it. I mean, I've never looked back. Like, I still have an intern mentality. Like, people tell me like, yo, you've done a lot of things. I'm like, I still think the same way that the kid that walked in to rock the mic, overwhelmed with assisting Mary J and Neo and going to get their food and just being like, I'm just happy to be here. It's the same feeling, when my name is being shouted on these different platforms and things, like, and I think it's important. You celebrate your wins, but you got to keep that humble nature, especially this day and age that we're in with social media, and everybody's like all about flexing and the Bow Wow challenges and all this other, you know what I mean? Like, people you want to like prove that you're somebody, or put up pictures like you're doing more than you actually are. It's not worth it, man. Like, just work and grind, and it'll happen naturally, where people don't have to make yourself look like an idiot. Because people are gonna bump into you. Like, I'm still on the train. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool with that. I'll ride the bus. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that serious. You know what I mean? Just work and grind, and good things will happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I still think if you're not willing to, I just posted this even on my Instagram. Like, you got to work every day. For 5 years. I think 5 years is a good starting point. Every day for 5 years, basically for free, if not scraps. To even just see a little blip, to just see a little thing. I think the magic number is like that 7 to 10 year mark. When you start
when it becomes real.
When it's like things are happening, your resources are coming through. You know, you started the ball rolling a long time ago, and now it's just a huge steamroll coming down a hill.
Yeah.
You know, so I think once you know, like these artists, I'm like, oh man, I've been rapping for 3 years, man, and I'm like, bro, I have genes that are older than you, bro.
Right.
Like 3 years is nothing.
Definitely.
Exactly.
I feel that.
I have genes older than you.
It's like, come on, dude.
I do.
Like,
I'm pretty sure I have like a pair, like a 10-year pair.
I got a pair somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, when it for Cruz, when did it like for you? What was the year mark? I'm curious for you. Was it a 5 year? Was it 7?
Like
was
that
it
you
10?
felt like, okay, this is real.
Where things were starting this year. So how long?
This year.
And how long has it been for you? So when did you start this?
Professionally, outside of like the boring come up story of like being broke and all that.
Yeah.
2011, I'm in Rock the Mic. It's 2018.
7 years.
Look at that, 7 years. See, I told you, 17, 7 years is the magic number.
This is the first year that I'm really feeling like something's gonna happen the way that in my mind, like, you know, I talk a lot of big time, you know, like I see a lot of big things happening for myself just based on my work ethic, but this is the first year where I sat back and I'm like,
it's real.
I got married in June. I was able to like have like a nice dope wedding, you know. Thank you, appreciate it. And you know, like the acclaim from the work that we've been putting in over all this time. We put in a lot of work and a lot of projects have come out, but this is the first time people are really like, who was the guy behind the boards?
Right. We
put out #1 albums. We put out platinum and gold records already, but this is the first time now they're like, oh yeah, what's up, Cruz?
Yeah. I also think that in the past 3 years, it's been the surgence of the engineer.
Yeah.
When you have Ali, Alex, Guru, yourself. This was your year, you know. So it's the same. I see the same pattern happening with us producers that happened maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
So I think the production is a couple years ahead of the engineer in terms of that, but people are catching on. So that being said, you know, I know you got the drip and stuff. What's next for like the Cruz like rebrand? Like, what's up, man? What's the merch, the projects? Like, what are you pushing?
I think the merch. Honestly, I mean, I use like a on-demand merch service. I don't really make a lot off the merch.
That's all you need.
It's really for branding.
It's promo.
Of course.
Yeah, it's promo. It's like I just want to spread like respect the engineer, or it's fun to have the Turn Me Up Crew stuff that came from like family and loved ones that were like, yo, just do it. Like it took a second for me to finally like do that because it wasn't, you know, my thing. But I appreciate people telling me, you know, to go ahead and just jump out the window with it.
Yeah.
But on long term, I mean, I don't want to push record my whole career.
Yeah.
Just keeping it real. Like I want to, you know, find the next kid that I could trust to be able to leave the studio and do other things, develop an artist. You know, I got this kid Andrew Mireille out of Philly, super talented. He's more on the pop side.
Sick.
He produces. He actually helped with the intro. He did some co-production stuff on the intro for this record. He did guitar and different things.
Oh, he plays instruments too.
Yeah,
nice.
he does all his own, you know, top to bottom production, singing, writes his own records. So I want to get more into like proving to people that I could do more, like the same dedication that I had to corporate America and proving to them that, I could be a top salesman or a top customer service rep. I could be a top guy in the music business.
Yeah.
If I put that same drive and focus into it, and, you know, still being humble and like respecting, you know, the come up and things like that. But I don't see myself recording forever. I don't want to be, you know.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing. And when you get to that point, keyword when you get to that point when like you have this like next level step in your career, you have you're an engineer too, so you can use those skills for all the other stuff you're kind of overseeing too,
right?
Which is a skill set that you have above someone else that might be.
Look at Jimmy Iovine.
Yep.
Yeah.
He started like this,
and
he had the same kind of mentality where he was like, "Yo, I want to try. I don't want to just sit here and like record, even though I'm in the studio with these legends. I'm in this, you know, the studio with John Lennon, but let me produce a record. Let me try that, and then all right, cool. Now let me oversee this whole project. Let me run this side of the label or whatever. You know what I mean? So." He has a quote somewhere where he's like, everything he learned from the business, he learned in the studio.
Yeah.
And if you're smart, if you take a second to like not worry about the selfies and catching pictures of everybody, if you just listen and focus, like you will learn everything you need to know about the business.
Yep.
to where like if it's some things you might miss, like certain holes you need to fill, you can. But the foundation of what you need to know, you learn in that room.
And you know what they say, the boss, no matter what company, what business, it does not matter. Mm-hmm. And the boss supposed to know how to do every job in the studio, like every job in the company. If you're the boss, then you should be able to do everything.
Right.
You already have the ear, obviously. Mm-hmm. So like you already know how to run a session. Mm-hmm. You know you can find talent. You can do. So literally, if you're in a session as the boss, mm-hmm. and you have your interns and people, and there's a session going on, and something gets fucked up, you could step right in, like, bro, I got this.
Did you check this yet?
Do that. Do this. Do that.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. You can take over. Do this. Move that over there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think the fact that you come from the engineering background, that mm-hmm. Pro Tools very well. Not everyone knows everything about Pro Tools because there's just so much you can do on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's gonna help you so much, bro. It's gonna help you so
I can't
much.
wait to see it, man. It's gonna be really fun to watch, man.
Yo, listen, if you need anyone to A&R project for you, Alice the plug.
Alice got
I'm
the
here
plug.
for you, brother. We'll work together. We'll do some special things.
But also too, on a serious note, like we should do some shit. Like, let me know, if you
for
need.
Sure.
Like,
and we've
tracks.
already worked together. When
we
the
have.
Losses,
Yep.
Which one?
With my guy Rel.
Okay.
From Philly.
Oh, Rel,
yeah. We got that joint.
That was huge. That was like a really dope record. Me came in fourth quarter with that one, like, yo, throw this record
Killed
on.
That, man. Killed that.
I remember DMing you like, yo, you got one. You were like, yo, hit my guy up.
Yep. Made it happen. We got to make it official, though, like another one, for sure in the future.
There's plenty of ways.
There's so much more. It's going to be so interesting in the next few years. Before we wrap up, I want to bring my guy up here. Come on up.
Sure.
I want to. He had a question. About earlier before we started. It was like a question about a major label. I want to talk about it. But what's up, man?
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Yeah. So, real quick, introduce yourself, man, to the peeps.
What's going on, guys? My name is The Phonetic. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm a producer.
Brooklyn. Wait, I gotta hit this once because I haven't.
Can you spell it? Can you spell your name just so like
booty loops?
One more time. I had to shout that out.
Yeah, The Phonetic is PHRONETIC.
Okay.
Word.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Phonetic. So, where can they? Is that your Instagram too?
Yeah, The Phonetic.
Dope. Yeah, you guys follow my guy Phonetic. So we were talking earlier before this. You had an interesting point you brought up, a question. I want to talk about that. So what was that? Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes? So when submitting packs to major labels,
like beat packs.
Mm-hmm. What are the basics of that? I mean, how many beats are you putting in there? How are you organizing them? Are you organizing them by vibe or genre? Are you sending loops? Are you sending completely arranged beats? So if you could just give me like a quick rundown of like what would be your ABCs of sending beat packs to major labels.
Got it. So when you say major labels, I'm assuming some type of A&R that works at a major label, right? Okay. So my instinct tells me, and Cruz, chime in with your experience, because I know you get files sent to you all the time and all that. The goal is to get to the artist, right? So my first instinct would be to figure out an additional / alternative way to get directly to the artist, right? So it's like, do what must be done to get to the artist. If that isn't an option at that point, then you're gonna have to send to the A&R. So if you're sending beat pack to A&R, just from my experience, the first thing you want to think about is, what type of relationship do I have with this person? Did I just meet them at a mixer last week and they just gave me their email? Is this someone that found me and reached out to me and is interested in me? Or is this someone that I sort of like cold called and pitched to? And I think that's important, because if the A&R at the label is someone that reached out to you, then they have this like general interest in wanting to use your music, and that kind of increases the chances of something sticking. But regardless of that, I think the best thing to keep in mind is, how can I get my music to this person with as little effort as possible, making it as easy as possible. So the first thing you think about is, I'm definitely not sending a streaming link, because streaming is inconvenient, and this person might want to download my stuff. So then the next thing you think is, okay, do I use Dropbox? Do I use Weave Transfer? I would recommend MP3 attachments, because especially if they have a Gmail, only because some of these guys are on their phones. They want to listen immediately. They want easy access. They want to hit play wherever they are. If they're at a studio, they can just download straight from their email, stuff like that. So I would recommend MP3 attachment. Format-wise, MP3, and you want them to be full beats. So I would avoid sending snippets, with like your beat tag on the thing. Like you're basically killing your opportunity by doing that. So. Having this mentality of like submitting stuff on a silver platter, just like fully formatted intro, verse, hook, blah, 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 all that stuff. Make sure you have stems ready to go. Don't send them yet, but have them ready to go in case they ask or if they want to do business. And just do it like that. And you never want to overwhelm them either, but it's really case by case. If they ask you, hey, send me like a bunch of shit or send me what you got. If they give you one of those like, let me see what you got kind of things, like I would keep it small and send like 5 joints. And I think that's what the maximum amount of MP3s you can send on email anyway is like 4 to 5 MP3s at 3 to 4 minutes each. So MP3s, send 5, try to read it as best as possible, what kind of stuff they would like or what they're working on. But I would just like send your the best representation of like your true self and your true sound, right? And don't give them the Atlas says this all the time, like no need for the life story in the email. Like, well, hey, by the way, I grew up here and I'm really inspired. They're not going to read it.
Nobody cares.
No one cares. And that would be my thing. Do you have anything?
I would say I like what you said about having easy access because sending 5 or 6 emails, flooding their inbox, how much they're already probably dealing with. Try to keep it clean. If you do want to send it actually in the email, do like one clean email. But I personally appreciate a WeTransfer, you know what I mean? Or like a box link to all the work where I could just download it one time and I have access to all the files, label them properly, in terms of like who it came from, so we're not guessing like who is beat number 1
label
from.
them.
Like who is this from? So put your producer name for the folder. Maybe make a habit of labeling every beat with your producer name
and the BPMs.
The BPMs is critical. It's getting really easy for engineers. I mean, there's tools you could just dump it in the new mixing key. It'll give you the BPM. Is very accurate, but it can help. It doesn't hurt to put BPMs. So and then I like keeping it clean, like 4 or 5 beats, depending on the relationship, how they came across your work. If they do reach out, like I heard from other people about you, I'm very interested. You could send them a few more.
The zip might be the move for that. Send them some more.
If they, a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, they'll give you a heads up. It's for this type of artist, this type of vibe. So pay attention to that. Don't try to send them like, yo, I would love to hear Meek Mill on this type of beat. Pay attention to what it is that they're telling you in this message, because 9 times out of 10, especially if they found you, if they're looking for this vibe, don't try to like get experimental with it. You know what I mean?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, like just send them kind of, and then always keep the door open. Like don't flood them too much. Don't let them hit you back. Don't flood them.
Exactly.
Did you hear my beats?
Oh please, don't do that.
Yo, I sent you beats like 2 weeks. Like if they don't hit you back, keep working. You know what I mean?
There's an interesting thing that Super Dupes brought up on one of our episodes. He said, if you send tracks to an A&R or someone and they don't hit you back, the worst thing you can do is bother them. And the reason why they didn't hit you back is for either two things. Either they didn't get to it yet, or they heard them and they didn't like them. So there's no real reason to haggle them. Just let them go and keep it moving. Let the bird out the cage, and don't think about it, and just keep it going.
And don't be afraid to send them more beats. They just haven't heard the one yet.
True.
Don't send them like 10 beats a day. Right. Send them 3 to 5 joints. If you don't hear back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, just send them another 3 to 5 joints. You don't have to hit them. Yo, did you get to that? Did you hear him yet? Oh, I know you're busy, but did you get time? I'd love some feedback. They don't got time for that. Just send them 3 to 5 every couple of weeks or a month, and just keep doing it. And if they hear one they like, then they'll fuck with you. If it's your first time, so like Frenetic, so when they contacted you, obviously they must have heard something that you created that piqued their interest. So like Cruz was saying, I would definitely don't gear away from that. They heard something in your style that they like, so I would stick to what you do best, and send it over to them. If it's for upcoming producers that are out there, if you meet someone, you know, at like if you come to True Masters and you meet me and I'm like, yeah, send me beats, you know, like that. Don't send me a zip, in my opinion. Send me 2 Gmail or
right on the phone.
3 attachments so I can preview it.
Yeah.
Because I'll preview that shit right away.
Yeah,
like as I'm walking in my Uber. Let me just preview it 2 or 3. Right. Then if I like, I'll be like, yo, send me a batch ASAP. Right, and you can send me a zip of 20 joints. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I think if you're first meeting someone, if you have the relationship with them, send them the zip. It's cool. But if you just met someone and you're just starting to get to know them, send them 2 to 3 MP3s attachments so they can preview it. If you don't hear back, wait like a month, send them another 2 and just keep sending them. Because all that shows is that you're working.
Yeah.
And you're not bothering them. I like when I get beats from producers, you know, like 3 or 4 every like 3 weeks to a month, because to me I'm like, yo, that guy's working and he's not asking me any questions, he's not bothering me. He just said, hey, I got a few tracks for you, sent. Yeah, nice and short and sweet. Don't give the whole, yo, I've been doing music my whole life, you know, I was homeless, you know, and like I don't know, you know, this is all I think about, and if I could just get the one opportunity, nobody don't even
take
go
any of this personal either.
It's not
personal. This is not a personal type business, like it, and we're all at the mercy of the artist, right? So whatever artist we're working with, if they don't feel that vibe, like we could play Meek a sicko mode vibe, and it might not be the right for him at the time for whatever he's trying to do, and Travis gets it and makes it that, like, you know what I mean? So like just know that, you know, just because it's not right for one person doesn't mean like, damn,
doesn't mean it's trash.
It's trash, damn. Like, you know,
it's just not right for right now.
Yeah, like keep building, keep networking, go to these different events and build your network out, and something will
stick. It'll the music, as a producer, your beats will speak to someone out there. You know, I remember, and this was fairly recent, I sent like this amazing batch, right, that I thought was amazing to like this big artist directly. And I didn't hear from them for a while. They hit me back. They were like, yo, I wasn't really feeling any of those. I was like, fuck. And then I sent the same exact batch to another artist, another huge artist. And then they DM'd me. They were like, bro, fucking thank you. This is blessed. This is like the best shit I've ever heard. Right. And I'm confused. I'm like, for a minute, I thought I was like kind of trash. Like, fuck, I fucked up. Yeah. But it's like, then it was a reminder for me, like, yo, like, music is meant for certain people, and it's okay for people not to like something for them. It doesn't mean it's bad, you know. So Cruz, thank you for joining us, man. What's shout out your social media and the website and all that stuff.
So the Instagram is breakitdwn, website breakitdwn.com, Twitter is team breakitdwn. I wish I had the OWN, but it wasn't available.
I like the DW.
So it's like anytime you hear about anything with me with you know, break it down or whatever, just take the O out.
Take the O out, yeah. What's do you have a personal Instagram too that they can follow? Or
it's
it is use the same. Break it down.
Yeah, so it's like kind of both, like my personal and business, you know.
Dope. Frenetic, how can they reach you again one more time?
Yeah, my Instagram is Frenetic. It's a fro with PHRO, not an FRO. Frenetic.
Amazing.
Frenetic, tell them about the battle.
Plug that.
All my New York City producers, we're holding a beat battle called Christmas Kwanzaa this Saturday, December 22nd at Friends and Lovers, which is in Bushwick. Pretty much, we need producers to bring their hottest beats. We got all kinds of swag from Ableton.
Nice.
We got a bunch of DJ swag, you know, clothing.
Can I get some swag? Yeah.
There's a beat battle too, right?
It's a beat battle in producer showcase. So there's going to be live beats show from myself and my guy Yumi, Nothing New, Sum Total, bunch of New York City live beat makers. And then we're going to have the beat battle section where producers will be able to come through, play a minute long of their beats. And it's going to be judged by myself, Atlas is going to be there as
Hey.
Yep, I'll be there.
Mr. Atlas Cowell here.
Sure.
Get ready, guys.
Don't be shy, guys. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Let's rip a new one at, but yeah.
Rip him. He rips assholes all the time.
Wow. Ill, you're on a roll today.
I am. I mean, I do too, you know? I'm just kidding. Preemptive pause.
Dope opportunity for, you know, any producers who are just trying to get their beats heard and trying to get some, you know, genuine feedback from other producers from the scene.
I love it. And guys, this is the type of shit we talk about when we say do networking, go to events that involve people that are like-minded to you. These were the kind of events I went to when I was coming up. And so if you're in New York City this Saturday, December 22nd, pull up. And where's it at again? One more time?
It's at Friends and Lovers.
Friends and Lovers, Brooklyn. That's a great venue. I love
What
that
time
place.
does it start?
We're going from 5 to 9:30.
Okay.
Then afterwards, we're heading over to Silver Factory.
For Risers thing. Got it.
Oh,
Shout out to Risers.
Shout out to
homie.
Riser.
Yeah, so it'll be a dope
And then the after party is where we going with Queens. Which one you hitting up, bro?
We going to the West Side Highway?
We going to the full contact joint or you know what I mean? Bottomless? What we doing? What we doing over here?
Shit.
You know what I mean? Nah, but thank you guys for joining Cruz, man. Appreciate you so much. It's gonna be fun to watch 2019, man.
Oh, for sure.
The whole
man.
squad is lit right
the rest
now.
Of the holiday.
Yes,
You know,
enjoy the
Happy New Year.
holidays.
We're gonna
Yo, and I
pop some
forgot to
Bel Air
say,
real quick.
shout out to
We got the
Cruz.
Bel Air.
You know
Shout
what
out
I
to
mean?
Cruz, also fellow Latino. So you know.
You know what I mean? The
Latinos, you know.
Latinos here.
You guys
You
stick
too
together.
phonetic, right?
You too Cuban, right? Colombian.
Yeah,
There
I'm
you go.
Filipino,
We
but
got
fuck it. Today I'm Latino too.
Hey,
You know?
listen.
Same
Listen,
thing.
Illmind, if you grow a mustache, you'll look Mexican. So it's
Oh,
all right.
man, exactly. You know, I can't. I don't have facial hair. I'm Asian. I still got. You know, I'm from the islands, baby. You know, I get a lot of sun. We don't get the hair. You know?
Word up.
I got a full head of hair though.
There
Don't
you
get
go.
it twisted.
There you go.
All right, Tori. You see this, Tori? Just like you, bro. My shit is full, just like you.
Word up.
Appreciate you guys. BLAPCHAT episode 90. We'll see y'all next week.
BLAPCHAT.
Out. Peace.